World Boating Day. Today, we are talking about sustainable materials in the marine world, with a focus on real leather and what it means to go beyond green marketing. We are lucky to have some amazing guests with us today. Fabio Di Lillo from Maya Group, Clarissa Androsoni from Winkle Interiors Design, Marco Magalini from Company, and of course, my colleagues here at Prodital, Lanfranco Alena, our Director Manager, and Viola Slaviello, who leads Sales Department. So let's get started. First, let's welcome our first speaker, Marco Magalini. Part of the creative duo Barbieri Magalini, founders of the creative consultancy Company and the magazine Galileo Diary. They work as creative directors for brands and projects in the field of furniture, fashion, and interior design, combining physical and digital dimensions with a broad and inclusive vision. Their approach is known for its human and open spirit, aiming to create real connections between people while promoting design culture, social interaction, and creativity. Marco, what are the biggest challenges you have faced when trying to bring sustainable practices into high-end customers' interiors, and how have you addressed them?
So thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you, Marina. And hello to all my colleagues. It's a pleasure for me to meet you and to have this occasion of, like talking together and discuss and share opinions related to this field. As a creative duo, we, of course, have faced numerous challenges in trying to integrate the sustainable practice in the high-end customer interiors. I would say that, well, we work in the field of interior design and furniture design, as well as fashion design. And I always see that the client perception is the first, we can say, obstacle to this field. One of the main challenges is, of course, to overcome the perception in that the sustainability compromise aesthetics or quality in the fashion sector. It's a very important task. And if we think about brands like Stella McCartney, they have already demonstrated that it's possible to combine the elegance and the responsibility by using sustainable materials. And in the field of furniture design and interior design, it's something that it's the top of the agenda in a way. The second point is also to face the availability of certified materials as well, because some of them are not so easy to be found in the market in the quantities that are needed. Then the traceability and the transparency in the supply chain. If we also make a comparison to the fashion world, this is something quite important and quite risky at the time. We see that, of course, the adoption, for example, of the technologies like, I don't know, the blockchain is improving the transparency in the chain, but it's not something that is so common in the field of furniture and of interior design. Then there's, of course, a matter of cost and production time. But so, of course, integrating sustainable practices and materials are evolving into higher costs. But, however, it's demonstrated that this can lead to greater customer loyalty and distinctive market positioning to brands. And finally, I would say that also this kind of relationship between innovation and digital craftsmanship, because the combination between the traditional craftsmanship and in the field of leather and of those kind of material, it's something which is, very important. Together with the digital technologies, can offer new opportunities to the sustainability thing. For example, if we think about the fashion industry, the fashion sector, they use techniques like the 3D printing and generative design in order to create something which is with less, we can say, waste. And so in our work, we try to use always the digital tool to optimize the use of the material and to reduce the environment impact, and of course, and also to enhance the uniqueness of each creation that with the leather is possible to have.
Thank you very much, Marco. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Now I want to introduce another special guest, Fabio Di Lallo, the public area manager at Meyer Werft for Disney Hero Project. Meyer Werft is a bigger German shipyard specialized in new building crews. The company is internationally renowned for building large customer-designed cruise ships, known for innovation, expertise, and high quality. Fabio has a 360 view of public areas in new buildings, built on 20 years in Fincantieri's interior technical department as a project manager, followed by cooperation with China Machined in China's cruise development. His work with the three largest European shipyards on cruise interiors give him a truly global perspective. So Fabio, based on your extensive international experience in the marine interiors field, could you share your thoughts on sustainable materials in the cruise ship industry and the use of natural materials on board? Fabio, sorry, we can't hear you. Yeah, you need active. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let me try. Okay. Oh, well, okay. Work a little bit better. Okay. As you know, the shipyard is fully involved in the sustainability of the building of the new cruise ships, because it's not for the shipyard. It's not only the interior part where it's specialized, but it's all 360 degrees. The ship that will be sustainability. For example, the project I follow in this moment, Disney Hero, is a project that is Disney changed totally the engine from diesel to methanol powered for having the best friendly ship in this moment for the engine, and the materials, especially on board, it start to change because already 20 years ago, more or less, we start think until start to change, and all owners he not use more ticks on board because we use resin because more sustainability. And after in the last 5 years, this the sustainability materials will be a focus interior part. So we change. We have a recycling of the carpet. So the plastic for use there for make some carpets will be changed, and in recycling materials. The power supply inside of the cabins, we have some energy saving unit. So it's a lot of things. And the laters will be sure as natural material will be improved in the use, because we need to use more natural material on board. But the other problem for the material is the certificate. So we need to have, especially for the wall installation, the ceiling installation, the material need to be MAD certificate or Lloyd Register certificate to apply the material on wall, because it's, we need to have some low frame spread materials for the installation.
Okay, thank you very much, Fabio, for sharing your insights and examples. You are currently working at the renowned Meyer Group. Could you tell us what's new and exciting happening there at the moment?
At the moment, Mayor he have signed two ships, big ships like more than close to 100,000 tons for Carnival, and four Disney ships for the Asian market, where the Disney Hero project will be the bigger ship, because it's it have 200,000 tons. This is the bigger ship for Disney Group himself, and then this is the future of Mayer. Sure, we will come other project. I cannot share to you in this moment because it's something that will be noticed in short time, maybe.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Fabio. After hearing from our two gentlemen, let's hear from a voice that brings not just balance, but also brilliance. Please welcome Clarissa. Representing Winkle Yacht Interiors, the yacht-focused business unit of Winkles, a long-established German family company founded in 1962. The group has deep experience in interior design, exhibition architecture, and the outfitting of luxury yachts. With an in-house team dedicated to both design and production, they deliver customer-made solutions for complex spaces, always with strong attention to sustainability and craftsmanship. Clarissa, could you please share your insights about how does Winkle Yacht Interiors integrate sustainability into complex yacht interior products, and what makes your approach different from others in the industry?
Okay, hi. So thank you for having me here and being part of this very interesting conversation. And I want to say hi to everyone there. So at Winkles, what we can say, sustainability is not just a separate department. So it's embedded in the way we think, we plan, and we execute projects. What does it mean? It means that company-wise, we have our ISO 14001 certified production, and we have a full trained mindset to embrace complexity, but without shortcuts. We've built a company culture that doesn't shy away from challenging requests, and we work closely with our clients, which can be designers or shipyards, and also with our suppliers to develop smart detailing, focusing on waste reduction strategies, and for sure, long-lasting solution, which is, the 360 perception degree for sustainability. So it's not just about material. We look at sustainability from every perspective. So through the lens of quality, which must be absolutely at the highest level without any shortcuts, efficiency in execution, and also through the whole life cycle of the product that we offer. So it's the full turnkey interior, or is just a special furniture, or is just a part of interiors. So I would say that where our production stands out is in an open collaboration model and in a very precise approach to sustainability at 360 degrees.
Okay, thank you very much. What are the main challenges you faced when trying to introduce sustainable practices into high-end customer projects? And how have you addressed them in practical terms?
So I would say that the biggest challenge is aligning sustainability with the uncompromising standards of super yacht owners. There's a big misconception that sustainable, like Mark also was saying before, it's limited, or it means less luxurious. While at the moment, this is not absolutely the case. This is we have proven otherwise, because what's at the moment really the highest quality means also supporting the environment. This is an embedded quality of the product. So it's something that makes the quality, the product stand out in quality, also to be sustainable. So what we are doing is working with supplier to develop alternatives and investing also in internal knowledge to evaluate new materials, going a little bit out of the box as well. And another big challenge, it's also timing. What does it mean to have like new materials means step in a project in a sooner stage. So we try to also educate our clients to involve us in the very beginning of the project, that we can work together on a selection of the material, also training the client, which in this case could be the designer, in making some selection without compromising quality, but also having all the details that we provide to them to understand when a material is more sustainable than another.
Okay, thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Lanfranco Elena, owner and managing director of Prodital. Prodital is an Italian company specializing in premium bobbin lasers since 1968. Based in Arcignano, the capital of leather, supply high-quality leather for residential, nautical, and contract projects worldwide, blending tradition, craftsmanship, and excellence. So we have just heard the perspective of a designer and a material user who offered us an initial view on sustainability, a concept that's becoming more and more essential in the language of design, often at the heart of communication strategies and project choices. Lanfranco, from the point of view of a material manufacturer, what does it really mean to be sustainable today? And above all, how can we tell the difference between real sustainability and just good marketing?
Good morning to everyone. Thanks, Marina, for your question. Okay, let's be honest. These days, the word sustainability is everywhere. It has become almost a marketing accessory. You open a website and there is blue rivers, green trees, fluffy clouds, and suddenly everything becomes eco. Now, don't get me wrong, marketing has its role. It should communicate vision, values, emotion. But I think it's time we raise the level of the conversation. Today, sustainability can just be a feeling, has to be a fact. And facts come with evidence, data, and real certification. And when I say certification, I mean proper certification, not creative self-declaration scattered across a website. And that's exactly where I want to start today. Sharing a few examples, offering tools and real materials more critically, and understanding what is truly sustainable and what is just a good story.
Okay, Lanfranco, I see you're really into this topic and you made a great point. Sometimes the line between smart marketing and real sustainability gets pretty blurry. So, in your view, what's the right direction to take? How do you think we can actually tell which materials are truly sustainable and which ones are just good at selling themselves?
I think we often complain about excess of regulation coming from the European Union. But we also have to acknowledge that the new Green Deal's claim directive, in my view, is moving to the right direction. I'm referring to the EU Directive 2024 number 825, approved recently, which has a very clear goal: to ban vague or misleading environmental claims like eco-friendly, green, sustainable, unless they are backed with solid proof, verifiable data, and reliable certification. The truth is that we are currently flooded with not accredited pseudo-certification schemes, and some of them are even self-declared, created by those selling or promoting the material themselves with not independent control. I think that this new directive is finally bringing some order to the chaos. It recognizes the value of serious third-party accredited certification and requires anyone communicate suitability to do so with transparency. It's a cultural shift before just being a regulatory one. And it concerns everyone, designer, manufacturer, brands, and clients. If we really want to talk about sustainability, we need to start distinguishing communication from reality. So maybe I think it's time to start looking more critically every time we hear the word sustainability. Let's ask ourselves, sustainability for whom, based on what, and supported by which evidence? Only then we can tell the difference between real sustainability and surface level claims and make choices that are smarter, stronger, and truly responsible. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Lanfranco. Thank you very much, Lanfranco, for your clear and thoughtful point of view. Now, I'd like to bring in Viola, sales manager at Prodital. Viola, since you are in constant contact with clients, designers, shipyards, and contractors, do you often receive specific questions about the sustainability of leather? And more importantly, how do clients, especially yacht owners, usually react when the conversation turns to real leather in marine projects?
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here today and share this information with you. It is quite interesting, actually. So to give an answer to your question, Marina, yes, this comes more and more often. So especially some yacht owners, they come and say, I want to build, I want to have my entire boat with sustainable materials, so I will not use any leather. And so there is still this idea that leather can't be part of a sustainable project, and this is completely incorrect. What I always try to explain is that leather is a real product that already exists, and it's not something that is a synthetic material or made in a lab. So it's a natural product, and we are using a byproduct of the food industry. So every year, millions of hides come from the meat industry. And this, I always say something which should be obvious, but it is not at all. So no leather company raises animals just to get the hides, okay? So the hides we use, and I'm not talking only about Prodital, but I'm talking about the leather industry in general, are 100% a wastage of the food industry. Just to give you an idea, every year there are millions of hides available in the world. Just to give you an idea, they cover an area the size of London, Milan, and New York combined. So if they weren't recycled and used from the leather companies, this would be an environmental disaster, so a real disaster. So the hides would need to be buried or burned, and this is really something that could be a problem. So when we choose leather, if it is made responsibly, we are not creating a problem, but I would say that we are solving a big problem.
Okay, thank you, Viola. So if leather comes from a waste material and is turned into something durable, we could say that, at least in theory, it's already part of a circular economy, right? But in your opinion, is this concept really understood by the market? Or does it still need to be explained, maybe to challenge a few common misconceptions?
Well, yes, absolutely. So when we talk about circular economy, what I always say to designers, contractors, shipyards, and companies in general is that it is hard to find a more circular sector than the leather industry. So as we just said, we are using a wastage from the meat industry, okay? But even our wastage, if we start from the beginning, even the wastage from the leather industry can become raw material for other industries. So I will give you a few examples. So from the raw hides, before tanning, we can extract enzymes, okay, which are used to slow down the hardening of the drywall, so as for the building industry. Collagen, which is used for cosmetics and skincare, and protein residues, which are used in agriculture as fertilizers. I could give you a lot of more examples, and this is exactly what circularity means to me. So we are making the most out of an existing product, something that already exists, without, and I would say, instead of creating something new from zero. Okay, so this is the perfect example of circularity, I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Viola, for your ideas and thoughts. Now let's go back to Marco for a moment. Marco, it's your floor. Things we've been talking about genuine leather, I'd like to ask. Compared to other materials like fabric and synthetic leather, why do you choose genuine leather? Or in what kind of spaces would you personally opt for it? And as a designer, do you think leather still carries a unique type of value or storytelling that other materials simply can't replicate?
So thank you for your question. This is a huge topic that we always face every day. As I am a creative consultant, my work is to rise up questions even before answers. So my question that I ask myself every time that I start a project is, what's luxury today? So this is the main question that we have to face to have, in front of our face. And to my experience, when we speak about luxury today, we speak about unicity, we speak about exclusivity, we speak about authenticity in a way. And so what's more unique than a natural material that every single piece of it is different from another? And the word of the real leather is this, So I think that we need to opt for natural materials. It can be leather, it can be, in my job, marble, it can be bamboo, it could be wood. So natural materials. When the project requires that feeling of depth, of sensory depth, of memory, of ecstatic longevity in a way. So leather carries with it a kind of unique narrative that is made out of authentic imperfections, that transformation over time, and also tactile quality in a way. So it's the perfect choice, I think, when in a space you want to communicate a sense of heritage, a sense of unicity, and also a sense of value. And what I think is that people now, today, in this difficult moment of our economy and also of the world itself, people can pay money for value. They don't pay extra money for just aesthetic, because it's not that the main difference between the other materials. It's a matter of value, and I think that this is the only reason why people today are happy to pay more money for a natural material instead of another. Then I think there is another important aspect, which is the topic of personalization. We work a lot with fashion, with the fashion field, and people today, they want a kind of personalization. And so, and this is the reason why they want to pay more money instead of going to Zara or going to H&M. It's not just a matter of aesthetic. It's a matter of personalization and value, as I was saying before. And so I think that this trend reflects in fashion with personalized garments, is also in furniture with a kind of unique pieces and crafted interiors and crafted artisanality that is possible to be done with natural materials as the leather, because every single inch of leather of natural leather is different from another. So it's part of the material itself to be unique and to be personal, because you are the only one who can have that specific part of leather with that texture, with that point of color, because it's a natural and unique material as well.
Okay, thank you, Marco. Just made a great point. Designers today need to think beyond the labels and smart marketing. Lanfranco, you have also been clear. A lot of so-called green alternatives to leather can be misleading. From your experience, what makes you skeptical about some of these materials? And what should we really look at when deciding if something is truly sustainable, not just how it looks or what the label says?
Let me start by saying that researching and developing new and more sustainable material is essential.
Lanfranco, we have lost you. We cannot hear you. You're muted.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Yeah, sorry again. Thanks, Carissa, for
Muted again.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
you
You're
you
auto muted.
yeah, you become muted.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry again for the technical problem. Okay, let me say that researching and developing new and more sustainable materials is essential, and I fully support it. Anything that brings responsible innovation should be welcomed with an open mind. But, and I say this with all due respect, sometimes the market promotes material as natural or eco that really make me think and make some question. Let me give you a concrete example. Today, many surface material are described as bio-based because they contain waste from pineapples, wine, mushroom, and other organic sources. Okay, the basic ideas is so the fact of using waste is absolutely valid. But if you look deeper, you will find that this natural fiber alone can meet the technical standard required in design like yachting or in the hospitality field. Tests like resistance, tensile strength, and long-term durability. So what happens as the fiber cannot meet this technical specification? A polyurethane layer is added to give the material a structure. So the natural part is just a surface layer with, while the synthetical part, usually again a polyurethane underlayer, makes the most of the material. For example, an independent study confirmed that one cactus-based alternative to leather was made of 65 polyurethane, 30% cactus waste, and 5% other materials. So I ask, can we really call something sustainable just because it has a natural element on the top? Is that the standard we want to use to define sustainability? I can give you also another example. There are also materials that uses natural fibers instead PU as a layer. In example, they use cotton or jute fabrics as a binder. As at first glance, this seems more sustainable. No plastic, no petroleum derivatives. But then we face another problem. These materials are often too weak or short-lived, especially in challenging environments like yacht or for high traffic use. This is the key question. Can we call material sustainable if it needs to be replaced often? Because durability is part of the sustainability. If a material breaks down after just a couple of years and we have to replace it, how much energy, transportation, material we are wasting? So, in my opinion, it's not enough for a material to be natural or recycled. It has also to perform well over the time, because a product that lasts, it's always more sustainable than one that ends up in the trash too soon. And of course, I'm involved, but I think real leather, goes in this direction.
Okay, thank you so much, Franco. Let's go back to Viola. Viola, in your view, how important is it to choose the right type of leather based on the final application, especially in a complex field like yachting, where we go from protected indoor spaces to much more exposed outdoor environments? Would you say this is also a form of technical sustainability linked to durability and material performance?
Thank you, Marina, for the question, which is very interesting. And I think it's a key one because, especially in the yachting world, we always deal with very different environments. What I can say is that still some people are hesitant to use leather because they think it's too delicate, or maybe it is too hard to manage, for example, to be clean and maintain in time. But nowadays there are many different types of leather depending on the use, on the final use. So, for example, we can have a very, very natural leather as nubuck, for example, which can be used for an indoor space, so a very elegant one. As well as we have, on the contrary, a very high performance leather which can resist to UV rays, which can resist to humidity and can be used for outdoor spaces. So a completely different kind of environment. And this is what technical sustainability means. So choosing the right material based on the context. And this means to extend its life, okay, to avoid replacements, and so to avoid wastage. So this is a perfect example of technical sustainability. So I think that the designer's expertise shows really here. So it's not just an aesthetic choice, but it's selecting the most suitable leather for the specific use. So basing on where you want the leather to be put, and to choose the right leather for that use.
Okay, really interesting. Thank you, Viola. Marco, as a designer, how do you approach working with the natural materials like leather? You know, natural leather, unlike fabric synthetic rolls, don't come in standard sizes but have irregular shapes and unique dimensions. How does this influence your creative projects?
So thank you for your question, Marina. You raised up a very, actual topic to every project that we deal with. My answer would say that, leather is not a material that you just use. It's a material that you need to listen, you need to interpret in a way. So this is the reason why me as a designer, I love this kind of material, because it requires my job in a way. The first point I think is that it presents like irregular shapes, it represents like variable dimensions, but this happens with a lot of natural materials. Let's think, for example, about the marble. That is one of the materials that we use the most in our project. Every block has different veining and different measurements as well. So no people, of course, expect that an entire wall that is covered with a marble, it has a single continuous vein in a way. So it's the same that happens with leather. So when you work with natural materials and leather as well, this material needs like an interpreter, and the designer and the interior designer is an interpreter of these materials. So it's not just an exercise in application, but is an exercise of interpretation and optimization as well. So you need to make like the best use of it without losing pieces of precious material. You need to avoid waste, and you need to also enchase the material narrative in a way. Then I also would say that that probably is my favorite part of the job, is to work together with the artisans, because this kind of material like needs like a synergy and a dialogue between those who design the interior and the furniture, together with the people who create the piece. So the company, and also the artisan that are physically producing the pieces of furniture and the pieces of interior. So it's a kind of like sartorial in a way, like a bespoke, like in a haute couture, that with fashion you go all around a specific body with its limits, with its shapes, and the same happens to leather. So you need like to think that this kind of irregularity is not a defect to hide in a way. So it's a signature to exalt. So we can say that I usually say that an interior project using leather is like a project in which you need to shape the project around the truth of the material as well. So it's a matter of authenticity as well, and a matter of collaboration, and to have a very strong dialogue between the project designer and the company who is producing leather. And so this is the reason, for example, why I felt close to Prodital, because there are people who are able to be this bridge between the design and the production.
Thank you very much, Marco. As we move towards the end of our session, I have a question for Clarissa. Looking ahead, what do you see as the next major challenge or evolution in terms of sustainability in luxury yacht interiors? And how is Winkles preparing to face this new frontier?
So, thank you for this question. I would use these, I think, also to summarize a little bit what has been said so far. So, I would like to follow up what Lanfranco was mentioning. So, having traceability and data-backed material selection, proving that the material is eco in a transparent way. This is for sure one of the most important challenges. But then collaboration as well, as Marco was saying. So collaboration in between all the parties in order to arrive to a material, to a solution which is shared by all the parties with the same goal, to have something more sustainable. But then I would like to add, you need to also to approach this topic from a smart perspective. What does it mean? It means that the approach towards sustainability must be 360 degrees perspective. For example, for example, Marco before, he was mentioning bamboo. Bamboo is a sustainable material. It's for sure, it's from nature, so why not? But if I take bamboo from the Philippines, is bamboo more sustainable than another material? If I have, for example, a shipyard in Italy and I need to go to Philippines to source bamboo, is this really a sustainable choice? So we need to approach sustainability really from the full life cycle of a material or of a project. And then this, you only reach it when you have the full collaboration throughout all the parties, from the suppliers to the installation parties. So I would say collaboration is one of the most, is the key challenge. And of course, there are at the moment, it's a very good moment to approach sustainability. There are new, let's say, initiatives like Sustainable Interiors Horizon, who are now starting to, let's say, face sustainability from all the perspectives. And another big challenge, always also keeping up to what Marco was saying before, is the cost. The challenge must be approaching sustainability from a smart perspective. At the moment, there are really a lot of regulations that support sustainability. There are a lot of supports from the government in order to have a more sustainable approach. This means that if we can use all the regulations, we can try to leverage the prices of the material without compromising on a different price level to the original or the comparison materials. So we need really to have a 360-degree perspective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Marco, from your point of view as a designer and creative consultant, do you see traceability and supply chain transparency becoming more relevant in material selection? And how do you personally evaluate the reliability of environmental or certification claims from suppliers?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, also because we, as not the final user of the project, but as designers, so we work for others, we need also to demonstrate, with papers in our hands that everything is, properly traced and sustainable for real. So, of course, the traceability are key elements. I don't want to say again to do again a comparison with fashion, but it's something that started earlier, and today they have quite large problems related to this key fact. In a way, and so especially in the nautical context, where quality and sustainability requirements are extremely high, it's absolutely important. So the transparency is no longer negotiable. So it's not just a matter of communication, a matter of personal choice in a way, but they need to like respect those requirements that are absolutely extremely clear and high. To verify the certification and the authenticity of these claims, what we do is that we only work with suppliers that do adopt like international standards and certification. We also require the documents, the audits, and also, to do some personal production visits. So when it's possible, Italy is full of districts in where the production take place. So all the time that is possible, we directly go in the company to see with our eyes what's happening there. And also we evaluate the brand's reputation and the constancy of the company and of its communication over time. So sustainable is not just, it can no longer be like a facade operation. It needs to be consistent and to be certified and to be, because now everything is very clear. I mean, there is no longer any part of of gray. So everything is very clear, and also the standards and the certification required are very clear in a way. So there is no shades anymore. So yeah, it's possible. I mean, there are no gaps.
Okay, thank you. So to close, Lanfranco, what does it really mean today to be a sustainable company beyond just offering sustainable products? Could you please let us know your idea?
Yeah, I totally agree on what Marco has just said. But there is one more point I really want to highlight today. We often focus on finding sustainable product, green label, eco-friendly coating, recycled content percentage. But in my opinion, it's not longer enough. The real challenge is to evaluate the company behind the product. Is it sustainable as a business? Does it has a transparent governance? Does it treat its people well? Is the supply chain traceable? Are there real third-party certification? So these are the ESG criteria, environment, social, and governance, that Europe and many leading groups are already using to select suppliers and partners. At Prodital, we have already started this path, and we have already earned an official ESG recognition. So let's stop being satisfied with materials that just looks green. True sustainability means working with companies that are responsible, not just in what they say, but in what they do. Okay, so this is my idea, that I feel that in general meets what our guests said before. So thanks again, Marina.
Okay, thank you, Lanfranco. We have come to the end of our session. For any further information or insights, please feel free to contact our speakers directly. They will all be happy to provide additional details. Today's roundtable has offered a clear and honest perspective on sustainability, going beyond surface level claims and exploring what real responsibilities looks like in design and production. And we have talked not only about materials, but also about values, traceabilities, and the role of companies in shaping a more sustainable future. So a heartfelt thank you to all of our speakers, Fabio, Clarissa, Lanfranco, Viola, and Marco, for sharing their expertise and point of view. And of course, a special thanks to World Boating Day for hosting and supporting this important conversation. We hope today's discussion leaves you with new ideas and a deeper awareness. So stay ahead, stay responsible, stay with Prodital. Thank you very much. See you next webinar.
Thank you very much, Marina, Prodital, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye to the audience.
Have a nice
Ciao.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Grazie a tutti.
Eccoci.
Eccoci.
Marina, hai chiuso
Sono riuscita a fare uno screenshot finale. Ce l'ho fatta.
Sei riuscita?
Sì, ce l'ho fatta. Grazie
Ok, ora.
ancora.
Ottimo, grazie, è
Spero
stato
di
un piacere.
conoscerci, prima o
Esatto.
poi.